Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I'm so delighted. You know what it means? From the depth of my heart, there's so much joy today. You should guess why. We have very powerful, very loaded doctors in the house. Not even one. I mean, two of them in the house. Wow, today we are so lucky. We caught big fishes. Oh, I am telling you, they are very well set. Very well set. Today is going to be different. Yesterday was super. Today is going to be very, very, very lit. You know, just get some water that you need to drink when the fire is being spitted, because when everything is becoming so hot, you will need to calm down. Wow. I'm Janet Ajobiewe. I'm a family coach and I'm a rescue agent on a global mission. This is the assignment that God has given unto me. This is the assignment. This is not just what I want. This is not just my hobby. This is what God has given us as a mandate. And we are going, and personally, I got the back of my husband. That's why I'm using we. So we are going to work things out. And part of what we are working out for people to have family robust is to bring in people that are authorities in their field, so that they can come and talk to us. They can come and allay our fears. They can come and help us out of so many uncertain situations. Part of what we are going to do today is to make us experience a robust in our life personally and in our ministry, and in fact, as a man. I know you are expectant of that word. It's Father's Day celebration, so I consider every man to be a father. Yeah, I consider every man to be a father. So Dr. Lanre Modele is in the studio now, and Dr. Adenuga. They are all well set. My moderator will meet me here. She will be coming in later. Yeah, but before she comes, I'll take over. Now, we are always good for the job. Wow. Men, celebrating men, our unsung hero. Let me bring in our doctors. Let me just bring them in. Let me see them. Our usual thing now. You drop, as in drum rolls. Dr. Lanre is here. Yes, that is Dr. Lanre Modele, and Dr. Ayo is here. Yeah, la. See her here. I told you, I said today is going to be powerful, loaded. I told you of this now. They are all filled with energy. Energy. Is there any man that has been experiencing depression? Please, it's not too late. Bring them in. There's going to be deliverance. When I say deliverance, I did not say laying of hands, but through their words, impartation. As they are speaking, they are going to impart us. So get set for them. Dr. Lanre Modele is from UK. Dr. Ayo Adenuga, she's from USA. I told you yesterday now, from the United States of America. And Dr. Lanre, let me just give you a short bio of them. Dr. Lanre Modele, she's a resident medical doctor at Renal Care Hospital in UK. He's a Christian and he's a music minister. Don't worry, I have begged him that he will come again to come and sing for us tomorrow. We just have to celebrate. Yeah, so Dr. Ayo, Adenuga. She's a public health physician. She's a speaker. She's a capacity building. She's a capacity building expert, and she's a founder of Action for Teens and Moms Health. In fact, no, I can't tell her. She gave me a lot of things about her. So you will hear from the horse's mouth. Dr. Lanre, Dr. Ayo, I know you are set. God bless you, please. Okay, let's start with Dr. Lanre because he is at work. He's at work. We just planned that the nurses will not call him immediately, and there will be no emergency in Jesus' name. So please just give us what you have now. Then Dr. Ayo will take over.
Okay, thank you very much. Can I crave your indulgence a little? Because Dr. Ayo has a slide presentation. Okay. I had some jottings, although let me just try to say a few words. Welcome everyone. This is a topic I've been pondering over for years now. The reason is because it relates directly with me. When I was in medical school, I would call it a major depression. You understand? In medical school, several things happened thereafter. There were several factors that came together at the same time that looked like they triggered it. But somehow, I got over it without medication. So, but because Dr. Ayo is a public health physician and she has a slide presentation, I would prefer she comes up with a slide presentation first so that we get the medical basis behind it. Although I did some jottings from some how will I put it, from well-recognized medical sites. You understand?
Okay.
I did some jottings, but I think our slide presentation will be a little
Dr. Ayo, she's ready. She's ready. So let me bring her up. Dr. Ayo, you'll be coming up now. You'll be coming. So Dr. Lanre Modele, let me bring you back to the studio live so that I can bring a live slide up. Yes.
Hi, everyone.
Dr. Ayo, you have the floor.
Yes. Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
Oh. Yes, we can hear you, ma.
Oh, okay.
We can.
Yeah. So hi, everybody. Welcome. Thanks, Dr. Lanre. And thanks for sharing your story about your depression story. It shows that is common everywhere. And I would like to say that, again, my name is Dr. Adenuga. I'm a public health physician. I'm a mom. I'm a wife. I'm a worker in church, in Greater Department. And I've been in public health for over 20 years, even right from medical school. Now, I would like to say that this topic is so important to men, and happy Father's Day to every man out there. I'm so happy you're keen in life today because this is a life-changing event. So thank you for meeting us today. Thank you for joining. So I'll be talking about evaluating depression in men. And the first thing I would like to talk about is what is even depression. But before I go there, we'll talk about life expectancy. So the goal for today, for instance, is to educate men on depression. For interaction, we'll have an interactive session, and again, to empower you, to help you live longer, healthier, and a more productive life. The second thing we want to do is to discuss life expectancy. Now, we talk about life expectancy from birth. Different WHO has come with different things about life expectancy. Now, we have different countries, and it's based on what the environment is, what genetics that they have in, their troubles, their happy moments, and all those things are being put together. So I would like to point to Japan. Japan has the highest life expectancy, which is 84, 84 for both men and women. Then we have for male is 81 and for female is 86. Then we went to South Korea and then from there to Switzerland. The United States actually ranked 25, where Dr. Lanre is, and the life expectancy is like 81. That's the time that they expect that the average number of people would live up to. In United States, we've said 81. In United States, 78. And then for Ghana is 66. Ghana is right next to Nigeria, which is 62. Then we have Burkina Faso, which is 62, and Nigeria also 62, and Lesotho 50, which is actually the minimum. What does this mean? It means that the average man or woman will live up to this number of years. But don't forget that you don't have to be scared. God has given us the ability to live to our fullest potential. Now, introduction. Men and women are both at risk of depression. They both experience it, together. Now, depression affects many men. In fact, a lot of men. While depression is more common in women and it's considered a woman problem, but more than 6 million US people actually have depression each year. And this disrupts relationships, it disrupts their work-life balance, it interferes with their daily activities, interferes with everything. Now, what is depression? Depression is an illness that can affect how a person thinks, how a person feels, and how a person acts. Janet, are you still there with me? Hello?
I am there. I had to go back to the studio so that you can show very well.
Okay, but are you still there with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
I am.
okay, so let me continue. I just wanted to be sure.
Please continue. Your slide is showing very well.
Okay, just wanted to know. Okay. So depression, like I said, is an illness that affects how people feel, how they think. It makes them feel persistently sad or anxious, and it just makes them feel like empty inside. Also, depression, okay, people have the feeling of hopelessness, okay, and they have the feeling of pessimism. That means always having negative thought. They never see the positive out of anything. They have feelings of guilt, they have feelings of worthlessness, or even helplessness. They just feel helpless, don't know what to do every day, okay? Or loss of interest, okay? Or pleasure, or pleasure in their hobbies that they used to enjoy before, or a man that usually would laugh at jokes, he stops laughing, he doesn't go to church anymore, he doesn't find pleasure in his work. Usually they'll say men, for instance, they find fulfillment in their job. When they go out to work every day and they come back, they find fulfillment in that. But at a point, they just stop wanting to go to work. They will sleep long hours or they stay awake long hours and they're just not there anymore. But to say somebody has depression, a man must have symptoms for at least 2 weeks consistently and be diagnosed with depression. But we know that we all feel sad sometimes, really. Sometimes you just want to be they're just not happy. And it's okay. It's okay not to be happy sometimes. But when it is persistent, every day, every night, the person is sad, the person doesn't want to do the things he wants to do anymore, the person is, upset over things, then that can be counted as depression. Now, next. Okay, so what are the signs and symptoms of depression? So now, men have different depressive symptoms than women, but we notice that a woman would be sad, talk about it, she will withdraw, but a man experiences depression mostly as like a feeling of anger. They are more angry, they are more aggressive about things, they are more irritable. Some things that won't even trigger them off before, they start shouting and the children are just like hiding in places and like, okay, let's just hide. What's happening? Then sometimes most times the man will feel anxious, restless, he's pacing up and down, he's on edge, any small thing will look as if it's accusatory. You will see the wife ask, oh, how was work today? What do you mean? What do you mean about work? Why are you asking? Or why are you calling? He's always like charging back on edge. And sometimes you just have lots of interest in work, family, or even in hobbies. Okay, other things are problems with sexual drive and performance. Before, a man that would always call his wife, peck her, say, let's have sex, let's have fun. He just stops having interest. And when the woman comes, just say, I don't want to have anything. Or he has an erection, and between 5 minutes, there's loss of erection, there's low libido. You start experiencing that. You start feeling empty inside, no hope, no reason to live, you know or not even being able to concentrate on things for a long time, feelings of being tired or not being able to sleep. And I think this is one of the things that worries men the most. The feeling of being very tired. They feel exhausted. They can't do the things they would have done normally. And this is a very huge thing for them because normally they would not talk about their problems like women would, but they would recognize that they are exhausted, they are tired, they can't do the physical activities that they want to do. And thought of suicide is also very, very important. They will just say, okay, I feel sad. And before you know, they'll just say, I wish I did not live again. And, physical aches in their body, start having ache. Sometimes physical symptoms are also an expression of our mental state. You just find that, they are taking paracetamol, they are taking ibuprofen, and they're just having aches all over their body. It might be a pointer, to that, where every day they take medication for body aches, body pain. I've also said it, inability to meet up with responsibilities is there, engaging high risk activities like doing things they're not supposed to do, speeding. You are driving normally, it does 80 miles per hour. All of a sudden, it's doing like 150, and the wife is like, oh, children are scared of the car. You see all that. And sometimes you find out they start drinking or even taking drugs. Many of them resort to this rather than seeking help, okay? Or withdrawing from families and friends. That's something else. Now, we have different types of depression, and we have what we call major depression, which can be a psychotic depression. This is a severe depression whereby they don't all aspects of their lives is being affected. Okay, their health, they feel tired, they're not sleeping, their work is affected, their friends don't know what they're doing, and then the psychotic part of major depression is a more severe form of depression. Then we have also seasonal affective disorder. This comes with seasons, maybe like here in the US, we have winter and we have summer. You find that in winter, you have darker days and they become moody and depressed during that period. Then bipolar disorder, this one is also a form of disorder, but the person can have what we call depression, which is extremely low moods, and you can have extreme high moods, which is called mania. Okay, so they swing between the two. Sometimes they're just like that, aggressive, playing, going around everywhere, and they're like, what's the matter? And then sometimes they're just low. So what are the causes of depression in men? Okay, is a combination of many factors. Okay, we have genetic factors. It's been shown that families that have history of depression in their family, the people down there are more likely to have it. So it can be genetic. However, we know that God has promised us, okay, that no infirmity from our generation will come to us. He's able to cut it off. Now, environmental stress, you have different things that can cause it. Financial problems, loss of loved ones. Just to say, okay, difficult relationships, major life changes, work problems, or even stressful situations. I'll give a story, and this is a life story, and this is why I'm passionate about this topic. We have several friends, in fact, two of our colleagues in our set that had either suicide or committed suicide or attempted it and was stopped. Now, one actually lost his life, the other one was saved, and another one of my junior colleagues actually jumped off and jumped into the lagoon. So it is real. It is real that people are committing suicide every day. And it is not far from us. It is actually close to home. One of the person did say that as a doctor, he couldn't even afford things that he felt he could afford. After 7, 8 years in university practicing medicine, he can't send the children to average private schools that are there, is in debt, is in different things. And these are things that can make a man depressed. And when the issue is consistent, it can lead even to suicide. Why am I living? Now, the other thing is loss of a loved one. I'm in a program right now where we cater to people that have mental health disorders. So that's why I can speak to this as well. A majority of them will say that they lost loved ones. I had one that lost his father, his brother, and the brother's son within the same month. He went into depression and he started taking drugs. And then he has to start being treated for addiction. Now, difficult relationships are there where either your spouse, your wife is frustrating, or even your partner, or difficult relationship even at work is there and you can't even go forward. Then chronic illnesses can also cause it. That's why we need to take care of ourselves. Chronic illness like hypertension, diabetes, Alzheimer's can also cause it, Parkinson's disease, renal failure, all those chronic diseases can cause depression. And also, this depression can even affect the worsening of chronic illnesses where the person doesn't want to take their drugs. So it's pari passu, it can go hand in hand. And then some medications for some certain illnesses can cause depression. So we have to be vigilant. We have to know how the person was before, how the person is. And just to say that that is why it's important for men to know themselves and for we women to know our men and to support them, to see the changes in them, to know what medications they are taking and to know, okay, this guy is usually like this. When he started taking this medication, this is how he is now. He's sadder, he doesn't want to go to work, he's not being effective at work. Now, what are the treatments for depression? We have medical treatment and we have what we call psychotherapy or talk therapy. Now, medication are things like antidepressants. And this is when you go to your doctor, he asks you questions by administering a questionnaire, and then they do some diagnosis and they start treating you. It has been helpful, okay? And it will help, first of all, with the sleep patterns, with the affect before the mood. But there's also what we call psychotherapy, which is like cognitive therapy, and is also interpersonal therapy. And it has to do with helping the person to cope with life, helping the person to address issues, helping the person to know how to address crisis. And that's where we come in. That's where you come in, Janet. That's where the church comes in. That's where the body of your society comes in, where a counselor can come in and handhold you in your time of need to move you more towards where you should be, move you more towards God, being able to let you know that, the word of God says that no trial is new to man. He has given us a grace to overcome it according to our need and giving us an escape out. So depression has always been, it is, and it will be. But you know that it's not known to you. It happens in so many people. But God has given you grace to overcome. And also, it says, not be anxious for anything, okay? For in supplication and thanksgiving, we should give thanks to God. Now, when all this is brought life to that person, and you're able to bring the truth out to that person, is able to know how to navigate life. And this is so important. So many people go through what we call biblical counseling, and they don't even need medication. And I like the story that Dr. Lanre gave that said he had it, he overcame it, and he didn't even have to take medication. And yes, it is real. So this is some of the things. Well, how can I help a loved one who is depressed? Now, that goes to people like me, people like you, and everybody around. Okay. Now, help this person to find a counselor or a mental health professional or a doctor and book an appointment when you notice these changes in that person. Don't wave it aside. Recognize for what it is. Okay. Offer support. Offer a listening ear. Be understanding. Be patient. Okay. And be encouraging. Encouragement is key. Empathy is important. Knowing what the person is going through, you are not going through depression, but you can let the person know that I know you feel sad. I know you are this way. I don't know how you feel totally, but I'm going to walk you through it. I'm going to be praying with you. I'm going to be struggling with you in this your time of being in the hole. And you can make it, you can do it, you can overcome. These are encouraging words. Calling the person, checking up on the person, it's always very helpful. Another thing is listening carefully and talking with him. Listening, hearing what he has to say. Some people just want to be heard. So they don't even want solutions. Sometimes the solution comes to them themselves. They just want somebody that would listen to them, understand, empathize, learn what they're going through. Okay? So never ignore comments about suicide. When they say, oh, I just wish I were dead. I just wish I'm not in this life. Why did they even give birth to me? These are alert signs you should never ignore. You should go back and know what is happening. Now, encourage him to support by supporting his concerns, ensuring that he gets the doctor's appointment, and reminding him that the time and treatment. I'll be very fast here. How can you help yourself as a man if you are depressed? Spend time with other people. Spend time with your friends, chat with them, go on activities with them, go on cookout with them, go for family meetings, just be out there. Talk about how you feel to your partner, your wife, talk about how you feel to your close friends. I know that many men don't have friends that they can onboard into. It is important. I listened to Dr. Arija yesterday and I was so encouraged by what he said. He said at the time he was having a midlife crisis, he reached out to a close friend. He spoke about it. While speaking, he came up with solutions to some of his problems. These are so important. Exercise, exercise, exercise. I can't emphasize this enough. Good diet is important. Exercise is important where the person is able to, exercise helps the mental health of people. It helps your breathing. It helps your blood circulation. It helps your muscle tone. It helps your routine. Also, when you have life tasks, break it down to smaller ones. These are management tools I'm bringing out here, whereby when you have a task in your office or at home, you don't have to do everything at the same time. Break it up into smaller one and conquer little at a time. Poco a poco, you'll surely get there. Now, delay important decisions until you feel better. Whenever you're feeling sad, don't make important decisions like buying things or putting money down for things. You might regret it later and it even makes you sadder. So delay them, keep stable daily routines, pray in the morning, exercise, read the word of God, you know, do your work, have a daily routine that helps you, okay? Avoid drugs, avoid alcohol. It will only make things worse, okay? So this is almost the end of my slide, and it says, and I'm saying, imagine living a happier, longer, healthier, and more productive life. In fact, a more robust life. I'm using Janet's word, okay? So health is wealth. You have to take informed decisions. You have to put your health in your hands, and you have to conquer. Thank you. Okay.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Ayo. You gave us all we need. Thank you so much.
So I'll stop sharing.
These slides are very, very important. They are really important for us to note. But how can we get this slide?
I can share
you
it. I can share the link with you later so that people can go in
Thank
there and
you.
look at it. Yes.
Thank
Absolutely.
you, because people are already dropping questions. I'll read them out later so that Dr. Lanre too can come up and share with us all he has for us too. Dr. Lanre, I know you are set. My moderator is warming up to come in. She'll come in at the end of Dr. Lanre's time. Yeah, I want to bring Dr. Lanre up. Thank you for coming. So, Dr. Ayo, I'll remove you from the stream now.
Absolutely.
So that you can show well. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very, very much, Dr. Ayo. Again, I'm Dr. Lanre Modele. I'm a resident medical officer in the UK working at the Renicas Hospital. This is why I said it was very important Dr. Ayo came first, because of the slides. They made it very, very, very organized. And I took some notes that I will reiterate before I say what I have to say. I would not repeat what Dr. Ayo said, definitely, in order for us to broaden, to reach other aspects of depression. But I will emphasize on some of the things she said. I took note of some of those things. One of those things is medications can cause depression. For example, there is chloroquine. Chloroquine is being used in Nigeria. I usually do personal surveys. I worked on the sea. So, in fact, my patients on the sea were like my lab rats. I do personal surveys on blood pressure and weight, personal surveys in consonance with internationally recognized researches. I love researching personally, even in consonance with international. So, I observed a thing. 7 patients came to me with signs of depression after taking chloroquine injection. So let's take that aside. I went to double check on international sites and I found out that it is one of the side effects of chloroquine that is not so mentioned. The reason is because chloroquine has been phased out in more developed countries, but is still majorly used in Nigeria. Number 2, another thing is, okay, she talked about expectations from men. She talked about a man who said he was a medical doctor and could not meet up with family expectations, like 7 years after medical school, everyone is looking up to you like a hero, like a Superman in a cape, and you can't meet with basic needs for the family. Expectations is one of the things I'm going to speak about in a couple of minutes now. You understand? Societal expectations, family expectations. I'm not going to take depression in the medical angle because she has dealt with it. I actually planned to, but I had a second side that I prepared for. But I'm glad she took the medical side. So the second one is, yes, never ignore comments on suicide. I repeat, never ignore. Once your friend on Facebook, on social media, talks anything that looks strange about, oh, I'm just tired of this life. Why is this thing happening? Immediately you must reach out. I tell you this word. This is a word that is scriptural. Why I'm using the word scriptural is, we take scriptures as very sacrosanct in Christianity. You can take this word to the bank. Never ignore comments on suicide or comments on low mood. That's where suicide starts from. Okay, the next one is never ignore the company of good friends. I meet one of few people who say, I barely have friends because you barely can trust anyone. Please change that attitude from today. You must have a friend who you can run to at your darkest hour. Never, ever ignore that. Another thing is exercise. Surprisingly, because I've been doing personal researches on depression for over 4 years now, I worked on the sea, so I had a lot of time for personal researches and studies and surveys and YouTube videos. I watched over 20,000 YouTube videos on the sea in 2018 and 2019. So exercise, please. It looks very tiny. Exercise does so many things that are beyond what we can lay hold on and say, okay, this is caused by exercise, because it's poorly, it's not well understood. You understand? It affects so many areas of people's lives, including mood. Now, the last one is avoid drugs and alcohol. Don't run to drugs and alcohol. There's a temptation to run to drugs and alcohol during episodes of depression. I tell you the truth, it makes things worse. Thank you very much, Dr. Ayo, again. Now, I will list out some of the things that I know will cover up the remaining edges. The first one I have written down here is the picture of a depressed person. It is generally assumed that a depressed person is a sad person who has the power to lift himself out of that sadness. That is one of the greatest fallacies you can ever imagine. Because I have gone through depression before, including with suicidal thoughts, you understand, I can tell you now, before a person, because depression is still poorly understood, even in medical cycles, take that word to the bank, it's still poorly understood. I can paint the picture of a depressed person. by my own analogies that I made. A depressed person is like a person who is being submerged in a pool of water and he is drowning, but he's being submerged in a pool of water by a giant who he cannot defeat. You understand? Imagine those movies, American movies, in which some of the giants push people's heads into pools of water and they can't help themselves. They are drowning. They can't withstand the power of the one holding them down into the water. They are drowning. They keep drowning. They can't bring themselves out. Take this word to the bank. Many times in major depression, people cannot help themselves. So that it then brings me up to the next point. All these motivational things like, why are you depressed? Why are you sad? You were sad yesterday. Why are you sad today? You better get grips of yourself. You better stand up and wake up to smell the coffee. You better do this. They are very, very unhelpful, and to outrightly say they are completely useless in depression because they do not have the power to help themselves. This is very important. This is very important. This is why a lot of people are left unmonitored till they commit suicide. People assume that their words of encouragement, motivational speeches of encouragement can help a depressed person out of suicidal thoughts. It's not true. A depressed person is like someone being submerged in a pool of water, drowning by a giant, and he cannot bring his head out of the water. So in fact, suicidal thoughts keep creeping into the person's mind outside of the person's will to stop them. It keeps creeping into the person's mind outside of the person's will to stop them. You understand? Now, so two things you will have to do. You will have to help this person. You don't give them suggestions to help themselves. I'm now talking about the psychological aspect of depression. You will have to be the one to help the person. Now, I'm coming to this. Dr. Ayo talked about having friends around. I put down some notes in this. Don't say many words when you are around your friends who is depressed, especially one who is depressed with suicidal thoughts. Just give them hugs. Don't say too many words. Just give them hugs. Don't prove that they can be sound with decision making. Just stay around. You understand? Stay around them. Do not leave them. Don't try to prove too many things. You understand? They don't have the capacity to withhold a lot of things that can help them. You are the one who is directly offering that help. Now, okay, so now let me move to the next things I have jotted. Now, I will move directly to the theory of expectations. Dr. Ayo talked briefly about it when she talked about that man. I'm so glad she brought up that example of that man who was tired of not being able to afford to take care of his family. Before moving to the theory of expectations, I would want to just summarize again that depression is still not properly understood medically, but there are some factors that predispose to depression that make people more susceptible to depression. One of these factors, like Dr. Ayo has mentioned, genetics, that is the person's genetics, the person's family line. It can run in family lines. It doesn't mean that the person will come out, will have depression, but family lineage can predispose people more to depression. Then chemicals in the brain for which medication works sometimes, you understand. Then environmental factors like poverty and traumatic events. Major traumatic events they are implicated in many cases of depression, like losing of a loved one, like Dr. Ayo mentioned earlier. You understand? Now, let me move to another quite often neglected area. Now, I've moved from medical to psychological. I'm now moving a little towards the scriptural area. Now, I pray the Lord leads me to be quickly fast with this one. Now, the theory of expectations. See, the reason why depression is usually common in brilliant minds is because of the expectations they place on themselves. Now, I observed a thing from my personal surveys in the hospitals I've worked in the UK. Whenever I see a young lady below 30 years who is quite obese in stature, you understand, in stature, in the UK here, 30% of times she's on an antidepressant. This is because of the societal expectation placed on her to be slim and perfect in shape or to be beautiful in a certain way. Keep that aside. Citalopram is prescribed 80 million times in a year in the UK alone. It's prescribed almost like paracetamol in Nigeria. It is, in fact, it is like water here. The WHO says we are supposed to be having less and less cases of depression, but we are having increasing numbers of depression, despite the fact that we have a better society. You understand, especially in the West, in the Western world, they have a better society. It's supposed to reverse depression, knowing that poverty can increase the tendency to depression, but instead it is increasing. You understand? I will explain. So it's societal expectation can be one of the theories that proves it. I will prove that again. There is the second thing that has to do with societal expectations. I observed from different research sites that American Hollywood actors and actresses and musicians have 18 times more tendency for depression and suicidal thoughts than the general population in the United States. 18 times. The reason is very simple. There is an expectation to always be on top of your game in Hollywood. You understand? Now, let's leave that aside. The third part of the theory of expectations is depression in brilliant minds. Brilliant minds usually have a target for their lives. You understand? Okay, at 25, I would have achieved this. At 30, I would have achieved this. But life never moves in a straight line. It moves in curves. They never factor this in. So brilliant minds are way more predisposed to depression. I can prove that with many other instances. Yeah, but because we don't have time. The fourth one is the relative absence of depression in people who have it tough. Now, look at this. I checked the top 10 countries with depression from WHO, World Health Organization, with depression in the world. And by a shocking twist, no African country is amongst them, despite the fact that poverty and co predispose to depression. Depression is very, very intertwined, you understand? If you go to the Almajiris in the north, they live a very, very hardened life. You understand? The Almajiris of the north. You need to watch videos on their life. You almost never record depression in their midst or suicidal thoughts, surprisingly. The reason is because there's no expectation. Anyone who is down, fears no fall again. You understand? Now, I'm going the scriptural way after we've dealt with the medical way. Now, you see, after having depression and suicidal thoughts, I was preparing for my medical examinations then. Now I'm going back to my story. I had two options. Medicine works. It doesn't work all the time for depression. I can say that. I even have peer reviews that, yes, but it works. You understand? I have peer reviews too. It doesn't work all the time. So I chose to go I was not so much into church then, to be honest with you. In fact, in my 100 level, I didn't go to church for 4 months. I chose the way of God for a reason I may not be able to tell, despite being a medical student in close to my clinical years. So gradually, it shaped my faith, to be honest. Eventually, it shaped my faith and my dependence. Eventually, in about 2011, I overcame depression completely. I was working in the neuropsychiatry hospital Abeokuta. I was walking on the streets one day after we had a ward round in the psychiatry hospital. Something came to my spirit. He said, look at those guys. Some of them had major depression. They could barely even open their mouths to speak. So I had some revelations in my mind. I made up my mind, you understand? And at that moment, from there on, I got my healing to the point where I barely ever even become sad. I've gone through so many issues thereafter. I never become sad or anything. The reason is because though medicine is usually prescribed for depression, there are other ways in which you can keep it at bay. Now, it brings me to the question, can a Christian be depressed? Yes. Number one question. Second question, when a Christian is depressed, does it mean his spiritual life is down? It's a yes and it's a no. There are some depressed Christians who are more spiritual than those who are not depressed, based on many other factors. Some people are like my twin sister. My twin sister can never be depressed. My twin sister is naturally a happy-go-lucky person. You understand? Anything that comes, anything goes. We are the opposite ends. I have my twin sister. Anything comes, anything goes. Me, I went into my medical school as the number one on our JAMB list for the whole of the university, number one on merit list for medicine. I know what I'm telling you. You understand? I was extremely brilliant. I was on the level of a genius. You understand? So I know what I'm telling you. So eventually, I'm trying to say this, that can a Christian who is spiritual be depressed? Yes. Should a Christian be depressed? Ideally, from your knowledge of faith in Christ, the answer is actually no. Because of the power available at work. If I did not go through that experience, I would have only given you a medical basis of depression. I would have only been capable of giving you. But we have testimonies, you understand, to prove some things that are beyond medicine, despite being medical people. You understand? Now, let me give you an insight. I've prayed with some people before. So I've had some people tell me about the symptoms they had. You understand? Once I can diagnose from what Dr. Ayo said, diagnose this is depression. This is not just mere sadness. You understand? Once I can diagnose this is depression, two things I tell them. You understand? If it's not an emergency, can we pray together? You understand? Can I speak to you? I spoke with someone recently. The person said, don't worry, that many people have spoken to me, it will not work. I said, I spoke to her for 1 hour. By the next day, she had started sleeping. By the second day, after we prayed and fasted, by the second day, she had started being happy. You understand? By the third day, I'm not saying that that's the only thing that works. Now, when in cases of emergencies, you understand, if you pray and you don't have the faith to make it work, go and see a medical doctor immediately. You understand? Because like I said, medicine works. It's just a case of knowing that outside medicine, there are other things that work. Let me give you two last examples before bringing this to conclusion. I worked in Imo State for 1 year in Umaka, in a village. We saw a patient who lost her voice suddenly. The patient kept telling us she saw a spirit. We were laughing. I and my senior colleague, the medical doctor, we laughed and laughed and laughed. We said, don't worry. So we did every test possible to diagnose her. For 2 weeks, she had not started speaking again, and all her tests came back as normal. We said, what's wrong with it? We diagnosed Munchausen, with Munchausen syndrome, some strange stuff like that. We diagnosed malingering. We diagnosed, what's the name of this thing in females? That hysteria. We diagnosed everything. You know what? One midnight, I woke up to pray. Then something came to my spirit. You have diagnosed everything. Why not pray for this lady? Her name is Cheesy. So I spoke and prayed. Because I prayed in the midnight, I didn't wake up early to go to work. So my nurse, my hospital, I stayed in the hospital. My nurse Amara, came and knocked on my door and said, Dr. Lanre, Chizzy has started talking. Chizzy has started talking. I said, these things kept making me see other dimensions of life. I now started doing investigations. I'll round up with this. In 1925, Annie McPherson was a female who started Foursquare Gospel Church. You understand? Annie McPherson. She did some miracles. The American Medical Association, they don't believe in anything other than logic. Logic is the mode of reasoning of the scientific world and of the earth presently. They don't believe in anything other than logic, technically. So secretly, some researchers went to investigate some of our miracles. I have the article down. The American Medical Association in 1929 agreed that the miracles happened, especially the one in which there was someone who was paralyzed from a young age. She laid hands and she started walking immediately. They investigated with investigations underground. They didn't let any person know. They investigated and found out it was true. You understand? So I'm trying to say this. If you don't have the faith or have not developed to the level of the faith, don't waste your life. You understand?
That is it. Yes. Don't say faith alone. Don't say faith alone.
Yes. Don't waste your life. Don't waste your life. Medicine works. I will discuss comprehensively. I've been meditating on several things for about 4 years now. I'll discuss comprehensively about the intersection between faith and medicines. You understand? Medicines work. They are research. There's true science. There's pseudoscience. There are some science that is fake. Somebody just walked wuru to the answer, and there's true science. Faith works. It works miracles. You understand? Medicines work as well. I will tell you why we are not seeing an outbreak of miracles like we saw in the biblical times. It's because we have developed into even our faith system a logical system of reasoning alone. That's for another day. So the final thing I will round up, it's a tough discussion. It's probably an 8-hour discussion. The final thing I'll round up with is this. I'll round up with faith now. There is the joy in the Lord's presence. It is very real because we have encountered it as medical doctors. There is something called, I count everything as loss. Philippians, I think it's 3 verse 17 or thereabout. Philippians 3 verse 8 or 2 verse 8. He said, I count everything as loss to obtain Christ alone. It is very true. It is where the theory of expectations come to naught. In 2018 and 2019, I had periods in which I was a medical doctor, several years post medical school. I did not have a dime in my account. My joy was full because of something I knew. You understand, about counting everything as loss. People spoke many things. I was even living in my dad's friend's house. His children had left the house. Me, I was living in his house because I lost my parents quite early. You understand? So he was the one who brought us up. People were saying, does this guy not have shame? I didn't care whose ox was God. I knew something more than them. Those people who were saying those things, by the grace of God, I send them money today. There was something I knew more than the usual. You understand? So let me round up with that. Thank you very much.
Wow. Seriously, I was supposed to interject and bring up points and reiterate on some points, but I had to listen myself so that I can help better. Jesus. So that I can help better. Dr. Ayo, you're coming up now. Hey, there is more to this thing. There's more to this thing, honestly.
Yeah.
Jesus. Hey, everyone listening to me, the best gift you can give anyone around you now is to invite them to watch a replay of this thing. I'm telling you, this is not a gift for a man alone, even a woman. Did you hear a point? Said Don't wait for them to act. No, help them. Give them hug. Did you hear? I had. I am going to increase my level of hugs. Yes, because it will help. It will, honestly, it will help. Hey, don't wait. Don't even imagine. Don't say, can't they? Can't he do something? Can't he wake up? You know, I have a slogan. Wake up, wake up. I won't only say wake up and walk again. I will personally help to wake them up. And this is really wonderful. Let me quickly ask some of the questions that were dropped. These are my Facebook users that dropped. It says, how can one resolve depression leading to suicide when you think or feel that your peers have gone far than you in life? This is a reality for someone asking this. Oh. Please, Dr. Ayo, can you say something on it?
This is a real fact. Thank you for that question. And it is a real fact of life that depression can be from you not meeting with expectations. Just like you said, we are so overburdened by comparing ourselves with other people. But what I would like to tell everybody out there is remember that we all started from different points. We all have different enabling environments. We all have, so we didn't have the same support as other people have. You might feel that you've finished school and all your friends are way out there. But remember, you don't know what background they are coming out from. You don't know if it's their parents that got them the job and you are just looking for the job yourself. No, you don't know. Yeah, you said that, oh, this person has money, has a car. You don't know how much the father or the mother put in to buy the car for him. You know, so don't always compare yourself to other people. For me, my life, like Dr. Lanre said, life is up and down. My life has also been up and down. Okay? Even though I'm a medical doctor, a public health physician, sometimes you are like, oh, many of my friends are like, oh, they're like directors or blah, 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 blah. No. Where I am, how am I maximizing my potential? Okay? How am I making sure that where I am, I'm the best version of myself? And am I able to serve? Ask yourself those questions. Am I able to serve? Am I making the money that I can make to make myself and my family comfortable? Am I progressing the way I should? And don't forget that the race is not for the swift alone, you know, and time and chance, what happens makes us who we are. Yeah. So please, please, and please, for everybody out there, remember that you are not running against some other person. Let the race be against yourself, your own hopes, your own aspiration. Okay. I also allow Dr. Lanre to pitch into this.
Let me ask him a question so that I can explain it together. Yeah. Somebody says, I have a question on bipolar disorder. Can it be conquered?
Okay, like Dr. Ayo said earlier, bipolar disorder is an alternation between depression and mania. Yes. Okay, this is what happens in bipolar disorder. Today or this week, the person is depressed. Next week, the person is normal. 2 weeks after, the person is hyperactive. You understand? That's the simplest explanation of bipolar disorder. Does Dr. Ayo want to say anything about it?
You got it right.
Okay. That's the simplest definition of bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is common in depression. You understand? Some people don't have frank depression alone. They have it as bipolar disorders, that is depression alternating with periods of normalcy and periods of mania. Mania means hyperactivity. That is actually not the normal one. That is mental. You understand? So your question, what was your question again?
Can the person be
Said,
cured?
can the person be cured?
Yes, like I said
How
before.
can it be conquered?
Okay, like I said before, frank bipolar disorder can be cured medically. You understand? Let me interject. Let me add a little thing here. I read many peer reviews on the efficacy of antidepressants. They work, but not for everyone. You understand? It gets to a point where some people go as far as electroconvulsive therapy. We hope not. You understand? Electroconvulsive therapy is those very weird things you see on TV where they apply electrodes in people and shock them. You understand? It has many side effects, but we hope not. But antidepressant works, and people can be cured of bipolar disorder with antidepressants, antipsychotics, anti-mania medications like that. You understand? People can be, yeah. And with psychotherapy, they usually combine medicines and psychotherapy. Psychotherapy means you are talking with an expert who knows about it and who can help you with some routines of your life. Like she mentioned some of those routines, like doing small tasks instead of aiming to do large tasks. You understand? That's the comprehensive view of psychotherapy. Yeah. Then again, when your faith is developed, when you know some things about the kingdom, you can even cure major depression with suicidal thoughts completely. I am a witness. You understand? So,
and I would like to add that the importance of community can be overemphasized in helping an individual overcome depression. They need support. I like the analogy that was given earlier that the person is drowning with a major weight on the person. Now, support is so important because they can't help themselves. It's medical, psychotherapy, but family support is so important because the person is there. The people that can help are the family, the friends, the wife, the children, the friends, the church. So we all have to come together to help people with major depression. Either manic or depression or bipolar, they need that support. I just want to put it out there. So don't just look at it as, oh, this person is depressed, why is depressed, what is there in life? No, you have to be there to support. It's so important.
Thank you very much. Can I quickly ask about how can one really help it, as in terms of sex and sexuality in men?
Okay, I can answer it, but Dr. Lanre would.
Please answer.
Okay, so to tell you the truth, you don't even have to be depressed to have changes in your sexuality in middle age. From experience and from medical experience, not my personal experience, when a man is reaching his middle age, the energy in sexual interaction starts to decline a bit. It may not hold up erection as much as before, or if he was mating with his wife every day before, it might be like 3 times a week or even once a week, and it's okay with that. Now, it also goes with a woman's expectation and encouragement. When you say that the man is not holding it up, are you just like, he's down again, And the man still feels so bad because it's their ego, their sexuality is their ego, So a woman has to be encouraging, while in bed and while outside of bed. Give your man compliments. Oh, you look good today. I like your nice shoe. Oh, your hair is nice. Some of them are started losing hair already. Start, letting them feel good about themselves. And when you are in bed, you can do foreplay to stimulate them better. Okay? And make sure that they are erect, and then you do it. And sometimes if you don't want to go all the way, you could just touch. Just touch and make him feel good. You don't, and especially if a woman is more sexually active than the man, it becomes an issue in marriage. So don't let it be an issue. Understand your man, support him, Many times when men have financial problems, work problems, which is the other part of their life, in bed they might not perform as much anymore because their mind is there. So how does a woman encourage them even in bed? It's just by being there for them. Okay? Touch them, kiss them. If you see that they're not having that erection again, don't feel let down. Okay? Even ginger them, smooth talk them, flirt with them. You find out that mentally you have made love with them mentally. Because there are two types of sex. There's mental sex and there's physical. Make love to your man mentally. Make him feel good, okay? And if you don't go all the way to erection, all the way to ejaculation, or even going all the way orgasm, it's okay. It's just for a while. Enjoy it. Enjoy what he has to offer. So that's what I will say. I'll allow Dr. Larry to put it.
The first thing is I'm not married. So
Okay.
technically, I should not be qualified to say these things. But I will reiterate a few points in what Dr. Ayo just said. The first thing is that do not forget a man's ego. You understand? By any means whatsoever, do not do anything to bring a man's ego down. Don't try it. It can bring his whole life down. It can bring his erection permanently down. There was a guy who ran to me when we were doing NYSC because he could not perform. He was always sweating and anxious. That guy may end up in depression, and it's vice versa. It can lead to depression. Depression can lead to low libido. So do not bring a man's ego down. There is mental sex. There is physical sex. Learn to praise your man. You understand? Even when I shared a post on Facebook some time ago talking about can two, where the Bible talked about where two can help one another. When one falls into a ditch, you lift him up. A man can be out of job for 10 years. Do not forget that it was not always like that. And sometimes he cannot help himself. Help him. Do not now take the authority that does not belong to you because he has lost some part of his, you understand, life. Encourage a man. Don't forget a man's ego. Always be the one to fan the flames of his ego in the right way. There is mental and there is physical sex. You understand? It can make the difference. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think Jenna just dropped off.
Just dropped off. Maybe she wants to allow her moderator to come in.
I think it's internet. It might be internet issues. I'm not sure.
Wow.
Yeah. But thank you for really sharing your experience. It's so on point. I really have learned a lot from all the things you spoke about, and especially about how even medication can cause depression.
Yes.
It's so out there, and people don't even know it.
They don't know.
And
that's the issue.
Yeah, absolutely. I like even the one you spoke about, depression changing in different places.
Yes.
You feel that the developed world, that depression will reduce because there's no poverty, there's light, there's water, like in Nigeria.
But the shocking reality is that it's actually increasing. The WHO actually said that they expected that it will reduce, but it's surprisingly increasing. You understand? So they are trying to draft more goals towards reducing the burden in developed countries.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And something that I noticed recently, where the statistics shot up, is this COVID place where people lost their jobs, some people lost their families, some people they were not able to go out. Usually you'd go out of the house and come back. People were holed up in their houses for weeks and months on end. It actually brought about an increase in depression. Either the man lost his job or the woman lost their job because companies were closing down. Or let's say somebody that had a restaurant business, for instance, nobody was going out anymore. So a lot of places were closed. People were not able to afford things. Men were beating their wives more. Men were more, a lot of things, aggression, it's up there. So that's something that I noticed that has also had a recent spike. In fact, there's even
Yes.
a spike in divorce rates,
A
from this
huge
COVID.
spike in divorce rates
Yeah.
across the world. I observed as well in the UK and in Nigeria a huge spike in divorce rates.
Wow. It's horrible. It's horrible. And
Horrible.
even in suicide. In
Yes.
suicide, whereby before, you have the chance to go to church, you're able to meet with your pastor, and some people are
Yes.
just in the house, nowhere to go.
Yes.
Some people, the church or the mosque, wherever they go to, is their only
Yes.
source of socialization,
Socialization.
and it was taken away.
Yeah.
So it's something that is it's huge,
Yes.
and I'm just hopeful that there will be interventions that will help everyone. And this talk is so on point. It's so important.
In fact.
Absolutely.
In fact. In fact.
So thank you for sharing your experience. Nobody could have said it more than you did.
Yeah. Thank you as well. I'm so glad I allowed you to come up first with all the points in a well-organized way. You understand?
Thank you.
I'm so glad that it made the discussions very organized.
Oh, thank you for that. Hi, Janet.
I started sweating. This technically.
We understand.
Thank you so much. Oh no, thank you so much. I'm really grateful. You did a great work. Somebody has again, even though we are far beyond our time. So, but we have to ask questions. It says, are introverts more prone to depression?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yes, they are more prone to depression. Like Dr. Ayo said, look, one thing about religious organizations is this: they do just more than spiritual help. They are also major social centers. You understand? Introverts will lack a thing, a proponent of depression help over time. That is a cycle of friends. You understand? Being introverted can predispose you more to depression. Open up.
Sure.
Open up. Speak out.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, for introverts out there, I have a younger sister, and she's also like an introvert, but she will say it's important to have somebody you trust. While you can't talk to everybody, identify somebody that you trust, that you are safe with. We want to have a safe person so that we can talk to, and we are safe in not being judged. We just want the person to just hear us. We are safe with the person. So have a safe person, have a person you trust that you can always speak to. The person is just there to listen to you.
Yeah.
The person is not even there to say, why don't you do this, do that? So identify a safe person around you that you can speak to, that you can onboarding to, and the person can just hear you out. And when necessary, the person can help. So please, for introverted introverts, please, because it helps.
Speak out.
Yes.
Yeah, they said a problem half shared,
and they can even they can even hide their identity in case they need to speak out. Some people, a text message can do. All these little things, don't bottle it in. They are listening. They are listening. Thank you so much, doctors. Today is great. In fact, I'm going to send these messages out. By God's grace, I'm going to do my best. My moderator is here, so let me just bring her in to welcome, Angel. I know you wanted to be here early.
Yes, Dr. Lanre, Dr. Ayo, it was awesome listening to you both. Thank you so much for giving yourself. Thank you for sharing the experiences. I'm usually the one with 1,001 questions. I always have questions, but really you did well. You answered a lot. Dr. Lanre speaking about do Christians actually fall into depression? Yeah, that was one point that really needed to be hammered on. And then Dr. Ayo, you mentioned It's because I didn't come on time. Oh, sexuality and depression. So does that mean that people who marry men in midlife should expect no show in the other room?
So what I'm just trying to say is, first you have to understand who your man is important.
Okay.
You know, some men naturally they'll marry and they are not like, they don't have high libido. Understand that. Some men had high libido, but because of midlife crisis, the crisis affects their sexuality and their performance. You have to understand that. Okay. So
Voila.
because you have a deep understanding of who your man is, and the man understands you, you're able to help that man in his well-being, total well-being, you know, especially in the place of upper room, like you called it. So yeah, that's just it.
All right. Dr. Lanre, while talking about faith, you know,
Okay.
faith.
Sorry, sorry, before you ask,
okay.
before you ask that question, can I just add a little thing to what Dr. Ayo said?
Please do.
A guy in our church one day, he talked about his dad having a problem. It was a program in which we opened up on everything that had to do with sexuality. So he talked about his dad having a problem with a libido too high, and his dad was in the 70s. His dad was caught sleeping with the house help. You understand? The mom was tired of the dad. You understand? So marrying a person in mid-age means absolutely nothing until you have considered several factors. Yes, some people's libido is high up to, I know a man of about 80 something years, he was still having sex regularly. So let's stop that. All right, so your question.
Their genes came from the Old Testament then. If Father Abraham could still be going to Adam at that age, they are from Old Testament genes. Okay, now talking about faith. You know, you talked about the faith solution to depression. Now, what is the difference? I know time is up. Just help me here. What is the line? What's the boundary between faith and denial of depression?
That is a very, very strong question. I hope, you see, there is something medically called denial. You understand? That is, something is happening, you understand, and you are denying it. Look, which example can I give? I've meditated on it before. Now, faith has physical manifestations. Take this word to the bank. True faith has physical manifestations. Although Jesus' healings were birthed in the spirit realm, they had physical manifestations, evidence that could be proved. You understand? Overwhelming evidence that could be proved. If you have had faith, you understand, repeatedly, and you are getting worse, you understand, I have told you that thing. You are not at that level yet. You understand? To apply faith, do not deny it. You understand? Because there is true science. Let me tell you this. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. The cattle on 1,000 hills, they are the Lord's. That's what the Lord said. Every science and scientific discovery, you understand, is the making of God. You understand? Is the making of the Lord, because the earth and the fullness thereof is of God. For example, I was thinking about Pythagoras' theorem some months back while meditating, where the square of two sides equal to the third side. That's too much organization not to have been inserted there. But it was discovered by Pythagoras even before Jesus was born. Pythagoras lived before Jesus was born. But that is science, you understand? It was inserted there. You understand? Someone just had to bring it out because the earth is God's and the fullness thereof. The original plan of God concerning health, let me shift that aside, it's for another day. You understand? But it's for another day. Do not deny the fact that you have prayed and it is not working. Although there is something you have to know, receive in your spirit before you can birth miracles from the spirit realm into the physical. Like I said, again, if you truly had faith, you will see the manifestations physically. Don't deny it. Just go to the hospital. You can try again next time.
If I can quickly add to that very quickly. So if now you have to accept how you feel. And it's okay to say, I feel sad right now.
Yeah.
But Father, Lord, the joy of the Lord is my strength. I depend on you to bring me out of this sadness out because nothing is beyond you. You said you'll strengthen me. So you use the word of God to address your situation. Denial is you are sad, you've lost your work, and you say, no, yeah, I lost my work. There's no big deal in it. No, Father, I've lost my work. I need to provide for my family. I feel down, but I trust you to help me in this situation. Lord, bring helpers my way. Give me information that will help me to get. So that is faith. Being hopeful that that situation, you are not going to be there. It's just temporary. Nothing is too much for God. I understand that everything works together for good for those that love God. So the difference between being denied is not accepting it at all, just thinking it out. But faith is knowing that this is what it is, but this is where I'm going to. And you trust God to send his angels, you trust the Holy Spirit to help you to be what it is. And when you are taking medication, I do it. I say, Father, I'm taking this pill. Let it work together for my good. Father, I'm going for this surgery. Help the surgeons, help the doctor to determine the right thing to give to me that will help my situation. So you put your faith to work. You put the word of God to work. You make sure that you maximize the resources and the word of God in your life. And you trust God to do it. That is the difference between realizing the situation and saying, this is not me. This is not what God says about me. I know that what God has for me is for good and not evil. His plan for me is to be in good health, okay? And to prosper both in health, in my mind, and in every aspect of my life. So that's what I would just add.
Thank you very much. I think we need to close now. We enjoyed you so much. In fact, the people watching, they are even increasing. It's not as if they are decreasing. It shows that we are enjoying you. No, today's session is well lit, like I just announced earlier. Thank you so much, Dr. Ayo Adenuga. I'm grateful. Thank you for coming. I didn't pay you anything. You just want to be here, Dr. Lanre. I really appreciate you and I salute you. No. This is what is called love. Thank you for loving me and thank you for loving my audience, because if you don't love my audience, you know what to show up for them. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm really grateful. And I hope when we have cases, people coming up, you will be ready to attend to them, whether personally, privately, and publicly.
Absolutely.
You give me your word. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Dr. Lanre, we thank God there's no emergency. I pray there won't be emergency.
Yeah. So
thank God. Thank you so much.
Bye.
I'll say bye-bye to you. Bye-bye. 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 We love you so much. Today is great. We need to send messages to people for a rewatch. I'm telling you, even if you have listened, go and rewatch it. I'm telling you, you will gain a lot of things again. Wow, this Father's Day edition is really wonderful, mind-blowing. Tomorrow is the D-Day. If you're a woman listening to me, there is no excuse about I am busy, I didn't know. Now you are listening, you are hearing what are the plans you have for your man, for the men in your life, your father, your son, your husband. Yeah, there's no excuse that I don't have it. That what about your son? What about your brother, your friends? Celebrate them. You heard now, you never can tell who is passing through depression or midlife crisis. please reach out to them. Tell them, I love you. The love that is not expressed is not love. I've always shared it. Tomorrow, express that love. Don't insinuate that that love is known and is not appreciated. Do that love, that surprise. Let's do it together. I'm going to do my own. I'm going to do my own. I won't tell you what I will do anyway, but I'm going to do it. And tomorrow is my own session because tomorrow is the D-Day, Father's Day worldwide. I'm going to be sharing some things on how to, some points on how to unleash the superhero in men. We are going to rub their head go. Rub their head go. You know, men love it. They're going to do it here. And I am begging Dr. Lanre Modele. He's a musician. He loves music. He plays guitar. To come back tomorrow again. Afterwards, I'll call him to please come and give us a beautiful, beautiful rendition for our men. Family robust is not just a group. I've always said it. This is a mandate, and we'll keep working with this until every home has a robust. God bless you. Tomorrow is another time. I'll expect you. The same time you start. This time is 6 a.m. and its environment. If you are in Ghana, 6 p.m., Nigeria, 7 p.m., in UK, and just check the flyer to see the time suited to your location. Thank you so much. I love you all. Let me hug you. Let me give you an online hug, a virtual hug. Thank you so much. So till tomorrow. God bless you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.